The vastness of the universe holds countless mysteries, but no one could have predicted the discovery that awaited the crew on their mission to its very edge. In a desolate spaceship drifting through the unknown, tensions rise as two scientists face both inner and outer darkness. An unexpected accident leaves one man alone, battling isolation, guilt, and the possibility that reality may be unraveling before his eyes. Is it madness, or is there something beyond comprehension lurking in the void? This is the story of Lieutenant Colonel Harold Richards and Dr. Abe Anderson in their journey into the unknown. The story begins in a spaceship laboratory. An alarm sounds and the fire suppression systems go off. We overhear two men arguing. One of them claims his partner has lost his mind. A fight breaks out and one of them grabs a pair of pliers, intimidating his colleague. We get a glimpse of the mysterious ship outside. It's round and gives off a bright light. Meanwhile, another ship's clock reads 6 o'clock. Lieutenant Colonel Harold Richards, the ship's pilot, wakes up and immediately performs a few push-ups before getting on the exercise bike. His partner, Dr. Abe Anderson, wants to sleep more, but he gets up reluctantly to make himself some coffee. He adds alcohol to the beverage. After his workout, Harold goes to the lab and records some information in a logbook while inspecting a flask of bees. He then feeds an electric eel that lives in the ship's aquarium. Finally, he looks around through a periscope, but all he sees is darkness. Their ship is also rounded, with one side absorbing light and the other producing something that resembles smoke. While Harold, who is in charge, works, his partner Abe does nothing but drink alcohol from sachets, try on sunglasses, and watch television. After completing his duties, Harold makes himself a cup of coffee and sits on the couch, pushing aside a mountain of booze sachets. Richards tells Anderson that they're getting close. Abe, on the other hand, believes they are even further away from their destination and that the entire mission is pointless. Harold silently stands up and exits the room. The following morning, Harold repeats his push-ups before heading to the lab. He re-enters the data on the bees while Abe remains asleep. Harold then throws a fish into the aquarium with the electric eel and accidentally drops his pen in the water. The man tries to reach for it, and the military tags around his neck end up in the water. The eel suddenly touches the metal tokens, electrocuting Harold. The man falls, causing the ship to lose power for a few seconds. Abe awakens and goes to find Harold. Coming out of the room, the man notices his partner's body. In a fit of mania, Abe throws a sack over Harold and drags him across the ship. The man opens the airlock and places his colleague's body inside, but is hesitant to pull the lever and launch him into space. He goes to the control room and tries to figure out how everything works. He sends a query to the computer to determine their distance from Earth in the edge of the universe. However, the computer cannot calculate this. The ship continues to fly through the darkness and unknown. Anderson exits the cockpit. He wakes up near the airlock compartment, where he appears to have fallen asleep while missing his friend. As he rises from the floor, he accidentally hits the lever, causing the ship to throw the sack overboard. Abe rushes to the periscope in panic, and his fears are confirmed. His partner's body floats away into outer space. Now the perplexed Abe has no choice but to continue on his own. The man falls asleep again as rough weather rages around the ship. Lightning flashes awaken Abe. The terrified man approaches the portholes and notices the eye of a massive electric stingray that has wrapped around the ship. The shocked man downs another sachet of alcohol and lies down again. After sobering up, he revisits footage of himself and Harold taken in the middle of their journey. Anderson informs the host that one of the secondary objectives was to investigate the effects of weightlessness on honeybees. However, the insects did not live long, so the study's findings are inconclusive. Harold adds that they also had a pinball machine which broke. The presenter clarifies the current situation in relation to the main goal. Will the universe end soon? Abe believes it will be a long time until they see it. He is confident, however, that when they stop seeing stars, they will have arrived. The transmission ends and Abe constructs a noose out of wires. He puts it around his neck, takes out a picture of the vessel. The man follows the sound and finds himself in a crowded room. These are the people who greet the two teammates at the beginning of the film as they are transported to the edge of the universe. The astronauts thank those in attendance and propose a toast to space. This is how he drank his first sachet of alcohol and quickly began to drink more. We are transported back even further in time. It is yet another day. Abe goes to the laboratory. Here he examines several dead bees. After examining one of them under a microscope, he discovers that it died from an unknown cause. He returns to the windowed room, which offers a view of the starry night sky. Another morning arrives. The same daily routine that has been in place for years repeats itself. Abe lies on the couch and falls asleep. Harold notices that the automatic eel feeder has broken. He searches the ship for his partner, then goes up to the window chamber and notices that the stars are still visible. Shortly thereafter, he discovers his colleague sleeping. Sorry for the small pause. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. Drop a comment below with your thoughts or any questions you have. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you never miss out on any future updates. Now let's get back to it. Abe laments the fact that he hasn't accomplished anything for the day, but Harold counters that everyone requires a break from time to time. The following day, Abe decides to fix the arcade machine. He works with a lot of wires and sensors, but a short circuit occurs and he can't repair it. At the same time, Harold opens a can of sardines and feeds the eel himself. In the evening, Richards inquires about Anderson's ability to repair the machine. Abe says he hasn't, but he has made himself a necklace and bracelets out of wires. Harold warns his partner not to do anything stupid. Abe opens his locker to admire his jewelry, and a photograph of his wife falls out. The man rejoices, having thought he'd lost it. The story is transported back. It's a new day aboard the spaceship. Harold cheerfully asks Abe about his plans for the day. Anderson responds that he needs to work on the bees today because the hive is already ready for harvest. Harold is overjoyed with the news and says, "I love space, honey." Anderson goes to the lab where the bees are still active. He enters the data into the observation log and adjusts the flow of gas to the hive. After finishing, Abe proceeds to the chamber with the windows. The view from the ship is very different now. Everything outside is awash in orange light. Apparently, this is the start of the journey, and the astronauts can still see the sun. Abe, mesmerized, pulls out a photo of his wife and holds it up to the glass, continuing to admire it. Harold and Abe meet and cheerfully exchange observations. The ship is still flying, and the bees are still buzzing. According to Abe, space honey can be collected as early as the next day. The team members enter the control cabin. This is Abe's first visit here. He looks around and asks Harold if he knows how everything works. Richards provides a confident response, comparing steering the ship to driving a jet ski in space. Suddenly, something happens to the ship. Harold spends his evenings playing on the still-working machine. He wants to set a new record in the game, but Abe distracts him and the game ends. Meanwhile, the spaceship approaches a massive orange object. A new day starts. Abe prepares to gather space honey, while Harold goes to the pantry for bread. Mysterious flashes appear frequently throughout the ship. Abe returns to the portholes and sees Harold, who usually avoids the room. Harold doesn't understand why Abe likes this place so much. Anderson responds that he enjoys looking at the stars and planets because they're beautiful. Richards expresses sadness that his wife is more beautiful. Abe wonders why he chose to go on the mission and leave her. At first, Harold responds that his country asked him to, but later adds that the main reason is the large tax breaks for the family. He could not turn down such an offer. Abe, for his part, claims that science compelled him to go on this trip. The men wonder what they will find. Apparently, there's more out there than they realized. Perhaps there is an alternate reality and universe out there. Abe is now enthusiastically setting records on the arcade machine. Harold brings bread and reminds his partner of the honey. They taste space honey and continue to talk about their families and why they agreed to the flight. Harold takes a photograph of Abe's wife and wonders how he could have left her behind. Anderson expresses regret that his wife abandoned him, which is why he wanted to fly as far away as possible, rather than for scientific reasons. Abe can't seem to keep his hands off the arcade machine anymore. Suddenly, the machine makes strange noises, and Abe realizes it is broken. At the same time, an alarm sounds on the ship. The system indicates that the number of insects in the lab has begun to decrease. All of the bees die and fall to the bottom of the hive. Abe has trouble sleeping at night and is thinking about his wife. He turns on his side and we catch a glimpse of two other astronauts sitting at a table. The following day, Harold discovers Abe's notebook, which contains drawings of himself. He asks his partner what it is, and Abe confirms that it is Harold's still living body. Anderson cheerfully reports that this is a positive sign, but Richards is unsure what yet means. Abe promises to explain later, but Harold lashes out at his partner, believing he intends to hurt him. Richards threatens Anderson with pliers and demands that he explain why he is drawing his body. Abe claims that he drew Harold following the accident. He remembers various things and draws them. Harold believes Abe is going insane, but Anderson tells him that it all began with the bees. He sketched hundreds of times before beginning to draw their bodies, and the bees did die. Harold sees himself being electrocuted by an eel, and we see multiple versions of this event in different universes. Abe is watching this alongside us. Abe doesn't know how to explain it. He is sketching and trying to recall what this event is and when it will occur. Also, Abe believes that all of this is not limited to them. Indeed, we see two other partners discussing the same issues right in Abe and Harold's room. Richards can't get over the idea that the eel will be the cause of his death. He's still not sure how Abe knows about it. Anderson has no idea what is happening to him. He shows his partner other drawings, including white fissures in the darkness. Harold, meanwhile, trying to figure out how the eel can kill him, dips his hand into the aquarium and receives an electric shock. Abe retrieves a sack, but then returns his attention to the fissure in his drawing. Suddenly, he rushes to the porthole to see what's outside, but only sees darkness. The man rushes to a bundle of wires and attempts to tear them apart, only to discover that Harold has taken the pliers. He returns to his partner, turns him over, and notices the pliers sticking out of his chest. Abe takes the tool, returns to the wires and cuts one of them. Hearing a strange sound, he pulls the entire bundle towards him. The wires start to spark and the ship shakes. Abe rushes to the porthole and watches as the ship veers off course and collides with the darkness like a wall. The darkness begins to crack and eventually breaks into splinters. Darkness is replaced by a blinding white light. Suddenly, we see Abe at home. He picks up the remote and turns off the television, claiming to have seen this before. He goes out into the yard to meet his wife. Suddenly, the phone rings in the house. Abe returns to answer it. Dr. Weatherford informs Anderson that the position he applied for is already filled. A perplexed Abe picks up a newspaper with a photo of two other astronauts on it. The story returns to the spaceship in which the other astronauts are traveling. They're in big trouble. One of the men is attempting to fix a system glitch and accidentally cuts the wrong wire. The ship disintegrates and is swallowed by darkness. What do you think happened aboard the ship? Could everything have been a figment of Abe's imagination? Or did the protagonists find the multiverse? All right, that's a wrap for today. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. It really helps the channel. Leave a comment with your thoughts and don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching and see you next time.